Right now, you're taking a live look at Dobbins Air Reserve Base, where the late president's remains are being loaded onto Special Mission 39 as he will be transported to the nation's capital. Right now, you see his family loading the airplane. They will also fly with his remains.
You know, one thing Jason Carter mentioned, he talked about how this time of year, every year, for so long, they would take a family trip. He would say we would go together as a family. And he said, you know, while this is certainly not a exciting or, the typical type of trip they would take, he said it is a chance for our family to get together one last time with granddad, with his grandfather. So I think for many of them, as you mentioned, Ariana, a good time for them to be together as a family. They've shared, President Carter with so much of us, so many of us for so long, and this may be a time for them to just be together, just a family and some close friends.
As the casket was placed on the airplane, we heard two compositions, two ancient pieces of music, one Near My God to Thee, the traditional Christian anthem most notably played on the Titanic when it sank in 1912. And the other, Hail to the Chief, which was first played in 1812 in the United States, and it is attributed to an English composer by the name of James Sanderson, part of an adaptation of Sir Walter Scott's The Lady of the Lake. Hail to the Chief certainly has become a part of American life and as familiar as any melody in this country.
President Carter's journey here on Special Air Mission 39 is more than just a flight. It's more than just the plane that you see. Really, we're told it is a reflection of his lifetime, 100 years of service to our country. We've talked about his time in the Navy, his time in the White House, and certainly his time after leaving the White House here in Georgia, and the service that really is incomparable. His legacy of compassion, one of peace and dedication. So the service goes beyond just the flight itself, the mission itself. What you're seeing, it really is special and symbolic in many ways.
As I take a look at this live picture that you are seeing right now, I'm flashing back to a photo, a very famous photo of Jimmy Carter from 1976 from an airport where his flight, his plane was behind him, and he needed to get through a fence. And there's the famous picture of him leaping the fence in his suit while Secret Service agents around him were looking at him like, what on earth are you doing? But it was a very athletic move, very typical of Jimmy Carter, and very much a departure, if you pardon the pun, from what we had seen in the past from United States presidents.
Yeah, he was a really young president, and just, speaks to how young he was when he left the White House, which is one of the many reasons why we saw him live just such a great post-presidency. And it just speaks to why we will probably never see such a grand ceremony like this.
Yeah, it's certainly not here in Georgia. Again, right now you're taking a look at the departure ceremony, which got underway not too long ago. The president's casket is now loaded into the Special Air Mission, the flight that you will see, the same flight that will bring him back here to Georgia in a couple days. So we expect that the plane will leave around 12:45, so in about 20 minutes or so, making its way up to Washington, D.C., where it will arrive at Joint Base Andrews. They'll have a special ceremony, an arrival ceremony there in D.C. as well.
Well, we've talked about this for a number of hours, but it will be worth watching, seeing how different this service, this state funeral, will look once it gets to Washington, D.C. It will have a very different look from what we've seen in Georgia over the past few days.
And when he arrives, he'll be greeted by the U.S. Air Force Band there in Washington, D.C. Another song that people may be remembering, Abide With Me. That's the song that will be played. So again, as I said, every selection, every movement, all the logistics here, very intentional and planned out by the president and his team, and in some cases many years ago.